Need a little wine? Craving some tea? Well, you've come to the right place. This is a little wine and a whole lot of tea with Chasitie.
Hello, back to life, back to reality. Have you missed me? Just kidding. So it's been a couple weeks, guys. So holiday season was crazy. Got sick for a couple weeks, so we have missed out on these episodes. And today I'm actually doing a solo session, so it's just me. So I don't know if any of you saw my story on Instagram, and I said basically like the tea is boiling hot. It's actually kind of funny because over the weekend, I actually had recorded an episode, but I feel like I sounded a little manic. So I'm like, you know what? Let me take a couple days to process all of this. So just a quick recap on what we're going to talk about is basically like an update on some things that I found out with my ex-relationship, the ex-boyfriend, not the ex-husband. This has been fun. Not really, but today was actually kind of a little bit of a rough day, to be honest. This is going to be a little bit of vulnerability at some points, and wanting to be raw, wanting to be authentic, unfiltered, all the things. And so here I am, my trauma, my drama, my chaos is your entertainment. And so here we are. So for those of you who did not listen to the first episode, which was kind of just recapping the last 2 years of my life. And so a lot of it had talked about the relationship that I was in for the last year and a half. I mean, now I've been out of it for 6 months, and it's been a process for sure. And so just to recap, so with all of that kind of stuff, he was going through a divorce. I was on the tail end of mine when we met, and makes things very complicated. I will never, and I say never, date anybody ever again who's even in that process, even at the end of the process. I have listened to even podcasts of talking about, give yourself at least a year. And now that I went through it, because Chasitie likes to learn the hard way, clearly, even though I was trying not to this time around, I fully am not going to go down that road again. This has probably been one of the hardest endings of a relationship that I think that I've ever experienced, to be quite honest with you. And I think because, not that I haven't had other breakups or things like that, but I think just because of the relationship that it was and what I came out of in my marriage into this relationship, like I truly felt like I found my person. This is it. Like it was really good. And, the biggest thing with this ex-boyfriend is I truly now feel like it was a wolf in sheep's clothing. And so let's jump into it. Basically, when we broke up, it was very out of like kind of nowhere. Nothing made sense. So of course, now I'm like, have had 6 months of finding things out and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, things pop up. Like, I remember that conversation, or now this makes sense about this. And I'm sure we've all done that. And so back in October, he was actually posted on this group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? If you ladies are not in them, you should go in them. It's actually great entertainment, but very helpful when you are in a relationship. I mean, married men get caught all the time. Boyfriends get caught. Girlfriends get caught. Like, you name it, everybody gets caught. So I don't know who posted him. I just happened to see it. And I had found out that the rumor was that his ex-wife was 7 months pregnant. Well, let's take that time frame back, and the time before that, like, we were together. And so, For those of you who didn't listen, she had faked a pregnancy prior to that for 8 months. So, of course, when I saw it, I was like, oh, here she goes again, faking another pregnancy. And I had no proof of anything. So immediately when we had broken up, he had taken me off of all socials, everything, which yes, sketchy, I know. But also at the same time, like he didn't even have his ex-wife on his socials. So I was like, okay, whatever. Now, her and I had blocked each other a long time ago, so I couldn't see anything. Um, and so she had posted an ultrasound, and I was like, holy shit, because the last ultrasound she had given was not like it wasn't real. She literally faked it. I don't know whose it was, didn't even have her name on it, didn't have anybody's name on it. It was all cropped out and everything. This ultrasound, her name's on it, the facility's on it. The date was on it of when it happened. And what's crazy is the day of that ultrasound was the day before he went to court to finalize his divorce. And so when I addressed this to him, he basically said, like, I didn't even know she was pregnant. Bullshit. First of all, the biggest thing about this girl is she tells him everything, like everything. Their relationship is so trauma bonded. It is so sick. It is so twisted to the point that I ended up finding out that he was sharing things about our like intimate life with her. Like just sick. I don't even know. I don't even understand it. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole thing, to be quite honest with you. Never in my life have I ever felt so manipulated, so used, and just so disgusted with somebody. So basically that happened. He gaslit me pretty much up until last month. He even had the audacity to text me Merry Christmas. And so basically last week, I found out through Facebook that she did have a baby. That baby is 2 months old, which basically means he, bingo, got her pregnant while we were together. And what's crazy is that entire time he was making future plans with me, and he would initiate all of these conversations. So when I tell you I was love bombed to the motherfucking fullest, I was love bombed. And which I talked about it before, that I had heard this girl saying that the only way that love bombing works is if there's no love at all. And so I was the perfect candidate for his love bombing, because I came out of a relationship that I didn't have like anything, like we were basically roommates. And so not that a lot of his love bombing worked, to be quite honest with you, because sometimes like I'd call him out on stuff and he would like he tried to be really good with his words, to be honest. And sometimes I was like, you're kind of giving me the ick, to be quite honest. And I don't know why you keep saying these things as if it means something, like, oh, you're the love of my life. And obviously that's not terrible, but it was just how he would say it, or you're my everything. And I don't talk like that. I will tell you I love you a million times, and I will show you, and I will do all these things. But there's like certain verbiage and certain things like that. Like, it's just not my jam. It's not my thing. It doesn't work with me. I'll let you say it and I'll let you speak it. But for me, like, don't expect me to say those things. Right. And I remember there were certain times where he'd be like, I want you to be obsessed with me like I am with you. Number one, he wasn't fucking obsessed with me. Number one. Number two, I was like, my boy, I'm not obsessed with anything. Me being obsessed with you is me talking about you all the time, or me wanting to be with you all the time. Like, that's as far as I go as far as obsession. Now, yes, I know, red flag, red flag. There's a lot of red flags in all of this. I should have been done so long ago. But like I said, like, this is what sucks about the whole thing, is because I had nothing like I wanted in my last relationship. And so to be completely fooled by this person is awful. And so it's been really, really hard. Today's been a rough day. So like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a vulnerable episode today, because it's been really hard. I struggled with going through this and really understanding how somebody can treat somebody the way that I've been treated when I did not deserve it. And to this day, I mean, to this point, like, he can't even take accountability. When I asked him if there was a baby last month, he basically turned around on me, and he doesn't need to discuss his personal life. He doesn't need to tell me anything about her stuff, which is crazy because I'm like, I feel like you kind of owe me that. I feel like the baby was the last piece of the puzzle. And, now looking back, I'm like, I was manipulated by somebody that I genuinely loved. I mean, I had a friend text me today and asked, like, how are you doing? And I said, my soul just feels so broken. And I'm trying, and it's just been really hard because I, for the first time in a really long time, had like opened up to somebody. I mean, I don't even feel like I was this vulnerable even in my marriage. And so to be vulnerable like that, to be able to where I felt safe enough to be myself completely, and then to find out all of these things and like, was any of it even real? Like, that's been the hardest thing, where like I would like to think that this person cared about me, but to do that and to get your ex pregnant while we are together, and lie about it. And then when he broke up with me, he literally made me think and made me feel like we were possibly not compatible because I couldn't fulfill his, in my opinion, unhealthy sexual desires. And I'm so proud of myself for sticking to who I am and being like, you know what, I'm not like, I can't give you what you need in that way if you're wanting these things that are causing pain and demeaning and all of these things that I don't shame anybody. You know what? Let your freak flag fly, do your thing, whatever. But you need to have somebody that's on that same page. And so he knew that from the very beginning. And that's what's so screwed up about the whole thing. And the fact that I was made to believe that this is why, but then also be told like I need to do what's right for me. And, but later on when I work on myself, I really want to get back together. And I feel like now he was buying himself time because I truly think that he thought that she was lying, but he couldn't talk to me about the situation because how do you sit there and say, hey, my ex is claiming that she's pregnant. She says it's mine. Well, did you sleep with her? Like, how's that conversation going to go? Like, what? So obviously he couldn't say anything. So the best bet was, well, let me break up with her and let me do it in a way that I feel like is going to be okay. Where later on, if she is lying and she's really not pregnant, then I can go back and try to get with her. Like, I think like that's literally what was going in his mind, because come the end of November, beginning of December, I can't remember exactly, he literally said to me, which at this point, now I know the baby was born. I don't think there will ever be a chance that we'll get back together, which I never said any of those things. I never thought that. He's the one that kept throwing it out there. I'm like, why do you keep saying this? How are you going to break up with me and then be like, oh yeah, let's get back together? Like, what? It's weird. Like, whatever. And so he brought that up, and then he said, my life is leading me in a different direction than what we both wanted. Well, I told him, I don't know what you're talking about. All I wanted was someone to do life with, someone to enjoy this life with. Like, be successful, go on vacation, like have a partner. That's all I wanted. So I'm like, cool. Like, you don't want a partner anymore? Oh, well, no. I still want to get married, but the details have changed. Well, yeah, no shit. The details have changed. You had a fucking baby with your ex and got her pregnant while we were together. But of course, doesn't want to say any of those things because then he looks like the bad guy. And so that was one of the last conversations we had. After he texted me Christmas, which I'm working on, I can tend to be a little bit vengeful where I'm going to make you think I'm cool. And I wait till you let your guard down a little bit. And then I wait for you to say something stupid. And then I just lay into you. So that's kind of what happened, only because he thought he was going to be slick and smart. And I don't know, act like I didn't know that he was lying, I guess, about the baby. Mind you, I didn't have confirmation yet. But when you let somebody talk, they will fucking sing a song. And so when I asked about the baby, so is there one or is there not one? And he said, which he took a minute to respond, I don't want to talk about my personal life. We can talk about yours, but we don't want to talk about mine. And then he said, if she is or isn't, it's not my place to say. And I said, thank you. I think you already gave me the answer I needed. And he said, this is why I don't need to be talking to you, because you don't need to know anything. And to me, I'm like, you are not a man in any way, shape, or form. Like, if you're going to play the games and you're going to do what you're going to do, at least when you get caught, just say it. Like, I don't even need an I'm sorry. I just want the accountability. And I just want you to say, you know what? I fucked up. And yeah, now she has a kid and it is what it is. You don't even have to say sorry. You could just end it there. Instead, your option is to make me feel like the dumb one and make me feel like I'm in the wrong and like I don't have a right to be upset. So one of the biggest reasons why I am so angry at this situation is because when he came home in December of 2023, and for those of you, some of you may be shocked, some of you know, some of you don't. Some of you may be offended. I apologize. But I'm all about, we all have the opportunity to make choices and we all have to do what's right for us. And unfortunately, I ended up pregnant January of 2024. I did everything I could for that not to happen. I even did everything after. And so, fun fact, I found this out from the doctor. If you take a Plan B, it's actually only effective if you are 150 pounds or less. Well, my friend, I am not 150 pounds or less. But then I told the nurse I took 2. And yeah. And she was like, well, I would have done the same thing. I said, well, don't, because now you just screwed up your insides because I felt like shit. And it didn't do anything anyway. So where I live, you have to go to another state. And I had about a week to make a decision. I was only about 4 weeks. I did not feel good about going any further. And so I had 1 week to make a big decision. Because for me, I also contemplated I did all the things I was supposed to do and it still happened. So is this what was supposed to happen? And I teetered with that so much. But at the time, I was dealing with so much from my ex-husband. And I made a decision based on everybody else's emotions. And in situations like that, I shut my emotions off and I'm like, all right, it's a business deal. What's going to be the best case scenario? What's going to be the worst case scenario? And I could not imagine being a single mom of 2. And at the end of the day, that was a huge possibility. Huge possibility. His divorce also had not finalized. So, he could get in a lot of trouble because he is military. So I felt like I needed to protect him. I felt like I needed to protect my child. I felt like I needed to protect my family, from everybody's emotions and feelings, like, all the things. And so I just felt like I didn't have an option. That was my only option. And like I said, I'm very much pro choice. You can do whatever you want. And thank God, because what the hell would I have been in at this moment? Because guess what? We went in January and I did not have the option because it would have taken too long to do the procedure. So I had to do it at home, which was also very scary because considering that you can't do it here where I live, if something were to go wrong or something were to happen, you're like, is the doctor even going to help me? Like, it's just a very scary situation. It's scary to do any of that stuff at home anyway. He literally laid next to me while I was going through this. But yet that whole time he was sleeping with her. And the next month, now I know the timeline, gets her pregnant. But still, we spent every other weekend together. We talked every single day. We spent at least one day a week from the every other weekend having dinner or whatever, just seeing each other. And I'm like, how do you look me in the face? Like, I don't even understand. Like, that takes a special kind of sick person to do that. And I know it happens all the time, more than it should. I just never in my life thought that I would ever come across somebody like this. And then to now also remember a conversation where they had to move out of the house that they were in and move into the apartment that he's in now, which is funny because I co-signed for it. And even at the time, I was actually telling a friend today, I was like, I remember at the time where like my thoughts came in, and I guess maybe it was my subconscious, but I just thought like, this is a crazy fucking thought. And I was like, imagine if I just signed a lease so that her and him and their children have a roof over their head. And that literally popped into my fucking head. But I was like, no, like the thing is, I got actions with words as much as he could give me with the distance that we had. And so that's what is so fucked up about this whole situation, where at that time, he knew that there was a possibility because there's no way she did not tell him. So then I also found out last week that he was seeing somebody in August before he broke up with me. Now, when I found out about the baby, I immediately posted him on that group again because I was like, there's got to be other things. And also at this point, I'm like, I need to freaking go out there and tell people who this person actually is because he's sick. I also found out that whenever he meets women, he is using a different name. I mean, he already was going by his middle name, which I already knew, which is what his family calls him. Then I had girls posting saying like, oh, look, it's Daniel, Jose, Dave, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh my God, he uses his brother's name. He uses his dad's name. He shortens his name. He'll go by his last name. Like, what in the actual hell is happening? Like, to me, and then the newest name he's going by, which I think is fucking insane. I don't even know how to say it. It's basically like Jason, but with a W, Wason. I don't even fucking know. He's Hispanic, so I don't even know what that is. But the fact that this person is using different names, I'm like, is this like the Tinder swindler? What the hell? So, and what's crazy is I watch all that shit and look what I just got myself into. So I find that out. Then I have the admin shoot me a message and says, hey, this girl wants you to reach out. And I said, okay, cool. So I reach out to her. The funny thing is, too, is he hones in on single moms, is what I have figured out. A lot of them are white, which his ex-wife is white. but then some are Hispanic. But it's funny though, because I feel like the Hispanic women don't even fuck with him. So I'm just like, no offense, guys, I'm white too, but I'm like, it's just dumb white girls. I don't know what the fuck. It's like, you have a dude say amor and like all these things, and all of a sudden you feel like you're in like a fucking telenovela love story. And it's like, no, we need to stop. It's not working. Okay. All we do is get our heart broken. And so this girl asked me all these questions. What he has been doing, and I already knew this, was he claims on these dating apps that he's looking for a dance partner. And so I think what his trick is he's going to go in soft. He's going to make you think this and this. He's going to fill you out. Like, it is so calculated. It is so disgusting that, like, I want to ruin his game for the next year that he is stationed at this base. Like, that is how I feel. And if I need to keep getting out there for, like, you guys need to stay away from this person, because you know what, at this point, him and his ex-wife are in cahoots. And that's the sickest part of all of it, is she knows everything. And that's what I told this girl. Any conversation you have with him, anything that you do with him, he is reporting back to her. The trauma bond is real. And the dysfunction is real. And it's so fucking sick and twisted that, like, I like, it just makes me angry. Like, at this moment in time, I am angry, so angry that I'm having to, like, chill out my intrusive thoughts of really how I want to handle this situation. And basically, like, then this girl tells me, like, oh yeah, like, he made me feel important, he made me feel loved. And I said, 1000%, that was the one thing that he was good at, because that is exactly how I felt. I felt like this person enjoyed me, wanted to be around me, got me, saw me, like, all the things. And even though there were certain things where I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, I think the most where I felt insecure with him really and truly was, like, in the bedroom, because he thought, which was so immature, is as long as he complimented my body, complimented me, felt like if he told me I was attractive and this, and this, and all this stuff, that, like, I would just wear whatever, do whatever. And I'm like, absolutely not. Because if I don't feel good in something, I'm not going to wear it. If I don't feel good about doing something, I'm not going to do it. And so that's why I think he tried until he could no longer. And it's funny, because me and this girl had like a very long conversation. I went into very detailed of how this person is and how calculated he is and how he goes about it. And I would like to think that maybe our relationship wasn't completely fake, because then I don't know, I guess maybe in a sense it makes me feel a little bit better, that I'm not that stupid. I don't know. It's been really hard and very confusing. And yes, I'm still in therapy. But I don't know. I don't know why we do what we do. And I know that, this didn't happen because of things that I did. And I had listened to Mel Robbins' podcast the other day, and there was this one snippet of it, and it just basically said that what somebody does to you is not your fault. And if they're going to cheat, they're going to cheat. They're going to do what they're going to do. And a lot of times they are doing things to cope with other things that they are not dealing with. And I said it on my other episode that I genuinely feel like he has a sex addiction. I think that his relationship with his ex-wife might become a wife again. I have no idea at this point. Is purely so that he can have that intense, aggressive, demeaning, painful sexual experiences, because your average Joe is just not going to do it. And so I think he tries to give his lover boy to everybody else, but really deep down, there's that fucking beast. And, he's going to put the effort in. He's going to try. But you know why he's going to try? Is because he has his ex-wife at home. So he's still getting what he wants, but he doesn't want to be with that person. He has said it over and over again, but he doesn't know how to break free because he is addicted to that. And I remember one time I told him, I said, you guys, based off of what I know, is you guys have hate sex. And that is a totally different dopamine. Like, so quit telling people, though, that you want to be monogamous. This girl had asked me, so I have a question for you. Were you guys in an open relationship or monogamous? And I said, why do you ask? Well, because I know that he said that he's interested in poly and swinging and all this. And I said, but that he prefers monogamous. And I said, here's the funny thing is that man does not prefer monogamous. I think that he thinks people want to hear that because in my opinion, you prefer open, you prefer swinging, you prefer poly. I don't know why he doesn't just jump to that level. Because what he tries to do is suck people in the other way. So hook, line, and fucking sinker. If you're going to be a sucker, you're going to be a sucker. And that's how he gets, like, in my opinion, he grooms. I think that he was groomed by his ex-wife. They had met when he was 19 and they were together for 11 years. And from what I was told after is she's the one who introduced all of this. And so he came from a very Christian home and wasn't allowed to do a lot of things. And so, you dangle a carrot in front of a rabbit, they're going to fucking bite it at some point. So I think it was exciting. I think it was rebellious. I think it was that. And it just gave him this need. And so now it's continued. But I feel like now it's becoming a little bit more dangerous because now you're using people. And now you are being even more manipulative. And it's disgusting. And the fact that he thinks that he's a good person. And it's funny because he still posts like bullshit things on social. And some stuff I see, some stuff I don't. And it's like stupid things. Like, let me take he's even dressing different. That's what's fucking crazy too. And he is posting like, and this is how it's worded. I've learned how to love myself and that's okay. And I'm like, bitch, you don't fucking love yourself. What are you talking about? You shouldn't. And, I'm like so not a hateful person. I try really hard not to be. I'm very direct. So anybody who knows me knows, like, I'm going to call a spade a spade. And the things that I have found out that I've just shared are just absolutely gross to me. And I even still have like text threads and things like that where I'm like, this person was so twisted in how he would word things. And I caught on a lot of the times, to be honest, and I would call it out for what it is. And so I don't want anyone to think that I was just this complete freaking dingbat. But just like my friend said to me today when I said my soul has been crushed, she was like, man, like you really loved him. And I said, yes. But then I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And so that's what I've been like really working on. But I am petty. I am vengeful. And I try really hard not to be. And, I feel like I just want this person to even just feel some type of irritation, some ounce of anger, just something. And I did send him a text message after I found out because I wanted him to know that I knew and that it was confirmed so that he knows that I 100% know that he's a piece of shit. And because I think actually words bother him, to be quite honest with you. Because I remember when we would get in fights sometimes and just like stupid little arguments, nothing crazy. But then there was like a time where I did feel like he was being dishonest. And when I expressed that, he was like, why do you think these negative things about me? Why do you want to say these negative things? So I know that words do hold something with him. You just have to catch him at the right time. And so I will read you the text message that I said, and I don't feel like I was super harsh. I wasn't nice, I will tell you that. But I don't feel bad about it either, because we did back in December when he wanted to play his little game with me. I didn't even say anything hateful, but I was just like, you don't get to tell me how to feel. You don't get to say whether I'm negative or not. You don't get to say that I'm toxic, because everything that he put me through, I 100% can be all of those things, and it should be fucking validated, because the fact that I went through what I went through, and like I told him, you will never understand. And the fact that you're so sick that it's just like it's nothing, like what? So this is what I said to him. And this is the last thing that he received. And I'm pretty sure he blocked me after this, which is fine. I don't even care, whatever, because I blocked him also. I said, I knew you were a liar, David, or whatever your name is these days. It's funny how you don't even want to take any accountability or be somewhat of a man. You're the most vile human being I have ever met. Now I have to go get tested because it's been confirmed you were at least sleeping, which I call his ex Big Back, and I will explain why, while you were with me. You better hope everything comes up negative, because who knows what disgusting things you two have participated in. Like I said, you two deserve each other, because y'all are sick and twisted. I feel sorry for that little girl that she has to call you her dad and Big Back her mom. True sadness for kids to be raised by complete narcissists. There's a special place in hell for people like you. I will never again apologize to you, because you deserve the utmost worst in life for the kind of human you are. And even reading that today, because I sent that on a week ago, I still feel exactly the same. I don't feel bad for saying it. I actually think that was me being kind for the way that I've been treated. And so I also, which actually arrived today as I was doing this, I sent them a nice little present. And this is petty, and I know, but like I said, you guys, I don't have very much to work with, and I feel like I needed to get it out, because I've just felt so angry. And if I don't do something, I just don't know. Like, I just needed to release. And so I put her mugshot from when she was arrested, assaulting him. I put her mugshot on a baby onesie that's pink, and above it, it says, "My mommy is my hero." And it just still makes me laugh, to be quite honest with you, because I think it's really funny. And I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when she opened that. So I had gotten an email that it was shipped, and I was like, and the thing is, I don't even know if they can return to sender, because I put the billing address the same as the shipping address. So that's funny. And I gave it to her, and it was funny because one of the girls was like, oh my God, like what if she has your info? And I was like, trust me, that girl is so lazy. She is not going to drive an hour and 15 minutes to come make some noise at my door over a baby onesie. Like, just throw it away, you dumb bitch. But I also felt like, I want you guys to remember how gross you are, and like, this is what you chose. Like, and mind you, his divorce did finalize. So I do have to say that, because that is all public record. I looked it up at the time. Everything had already gone through. So it's like, you literally were out out and you still chose to like do this. Like, I don't understand what goes through somebody's mind, but also to try to take down other people with you. Like, it's just so sick. And it's just funny because he would be like, "Oh, I appreciated everything you did for me and I don't take it for granted." I'm like, "You 100% do. And you should be appreciative because I'm the reason why you have a roof over your head. And I have done everything I can to get off of it, and I have not been successful. Today, I was actually very annoyed because I was like, okay, as a cosigner, I am held to a certain standard. So, why am I going to be held to the responsibility and the financial if this person doesn't take care of what he's supposed to take care of? But yet they are not holding up their part of the policy. So she is not supposed to be living there because she's not on the lease. She's now there with a baby and her dog that is also not on the lease. So I made a phone call today, but I'm just doing everything I can, you guys, to get off of this freaking thing. You know, grandma always said, squeaky wheel gets the oil. Maybe they'll be so annoyed of me that they'll be like, you know what, we'll just take you off because we don't want to deal with you anymore. But it's like, this shit's not up till June. And my biggest thing is, I don't know if he's going to pay if they charge him anything. Now, I know for a fact that dog has put a hole in the carpet because her dog did that when they first moved in. So it just concerns me because if he doesn't pay whatever they charge, then it falls on me. And if not, then it goes on my credit. And yes, I know this is why you don't ever do this and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't really help my situation right now, but I'm trying to do everything I can to I'm just trying all things. So if I have to make noise and if I have to be annoying, then I guess that's what I'll do. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been at the last week. You guys, these lessons are rough. Um, a couple of my friends, we've talked about like, did I really have to like learn in such a harsh way? But for whatever reason, I did. And I've learned. Because I don't ever want to go through this again. And truly, I was actually telling a friend this earlier today that I don't know if I will be able to ever truly be vulnerable with somebody again the way that I was with him. And I know people say, well, when you meet the right person or you feel safe or whatever, you will. But that's the scary thing is I did feel safe. And it was basically all a lie. And I just don't know if I want to put myself in that situation again. So, and yes, it's fresh, and yes, I can take time, but sometimes I feel like time creates taller walls, stronger walls, and I don't know. I don't know what my future holds as far as that. Because honestly, like I'm not even really interested in even like somebody even looking at me, to be quite honest with you. And yes, that can take some time too, but I just feel like it's so easy for people to lie. It's so easy for people to be shady. And I think one of the biggest things that I've also heard is like, you cannot expect other people to have the same moral compass as you. And I think this was a huge, 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 and it's crazy because he and I actually talked about morals and values. And I would say all the time, like, because he would talk about his ex-wife sometimes. And I said, you are the company that you keep. And I think he is a prime example of that. Like that girl has zero morals, zero values. And essentially he's grown up with it because he was 19 when they met. And so even though he wasn't raised that way by his mother, because she's a very kind woman. I had spoken to her a few times, and I almost said this in a text, but I didn't want to go that low because his mom, had a conversation with us one night, and it was actually the first time I had ever talked to her, which was funny. I had actually planned a date night, like an in-home date night. And so I had bought these canvases and we were doing like a little painting thing. We had cooked dinner together and we were sitting down and eating, and he was having a beer. I was having a glass of wine, and it was just like a chill night, whatever. So he FaceTimes her. And this is the first time I'm talking to her. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to say? And she starts talking about church. And you could just tell, when you can tell sometimes on those people, they're just like, they're trying to get out, like, let it flow, sister. And I just letting her talk. And she is in a Pentecostal church. And so they're very, very, very strict, like no drinking, no listening to music other than gospel. Like there's just a lot of like, to me, it's religion. So she was preaching religion, not faith. And that was my take on it. And, I believe what you believe, but you believe if you don't follow these rules that you're not going to heaven. Now, I don't believe that. And I'm not going to tell you what to believe, just like you're not going to tell me what to believe. So I was very respectful. I just listened to what she had to say. And I just remember one of the things that she said was, I truly feel sad for, my children if they don't lead the life that I believe that we are supposed to lead. And I want to see all of my children in heaven. And I remember I told him, I feel so sad for your mom because she truly believes that she will not see you in heaven. And at the time though, I was like, I don't believe that. Like, I believe if you have faith and you have given your life like to the Lord, and like you've asked for forgiveness and all these things, and like you're a good person, like, and I believe that. And I was telling him, like, I just don't believe that. I feel like, what she's saying, I just don't believe. And so I said, but I feel sad for her because that's a terrible feeling. And because, even me and my mom, we always talk about, and I remember when her friends, and she would say, we're going to have mansions next to each other. And so I wanted to say in that text, because now with how I know of how he is and how he treats people, and the fact that there is no integrity, he does not feel sorry, there's no empathy, there's no compassion, there's nothing. Like, she is right. And as harsh as that is, I'm like, you will not see your mom in heaven if you do not change the way that you are. And I don't think he has any interest to. I think he's so far deep in it that I don't think that I actually, and I said this to a friend too, I said, I think I was his get out of jail free card. And I think if he wanted, I know that's probably big of me to say, but I know now more than ever, like, my worth and what I bring to the table. And, I own my own business. I own my own home. I have a good life. I'm a good person. I I fight hard. I love hard. If I ride for you, I ride for you. And anybody who knows me knows that. If you are part of my circle, you are part of my circle. And I would have done anything and everything for him. And it's funny because I even said that to him one time. I was like, I would have done anything for you. And he was like, well, not anything. And that asshole was talking about his stupid sexual fantasies. And I was like, that's literally all that you thought of? I was like, you know what? You can kick rocks, because there is way more important things. I'm like, what if one of us got cancer? I'm like, what if your parts fell off? I mean, obviously not a thing, but like, there's all these things that I'm like, there is more important things than sex. There's so many things. Like, so what are you saying? Like, you're not going to love me anymore? Well, I sure as hell know that you're not going to not cheat on me, because you already fucking did that. So I don't know. It's just, I really hope that my radar is sky high, and really, really, even if you think it's a crazy thought or this gut feeling or anything, thoughts don't just pop up randomly. And, people think it's contradicting, but, I don't necessarily say it's like the Lord talking to me. I'll say it's like our spirit guides. You can say whatever makes you feel comfortable. But I do believe that that baby that he had, I think it is not that I don't think babies are great, but who he has it with, I think that baby is his karma. And I think that baby was my blessing. And that is probably the most positive way I can look at it, because God blocked that relationship for me completely. Because had she not been actually pregnant, like let's say she made it up and lied about it just to keep him, it didn't matter, because he already would have done it in order for that lie to work. Like, somebody's not going to just accuse you of like, I'm having your baby, but we never had sex. Like, no, that's not a thing. So I think that it's that whole saying, fuck around and find out. And that's what he did. I think he thought he was invincible. I think he thought that I can get away with this. I know that I was starting to catch on to a lot of his mistakes. And so, it was, the tea kettle was getting hot and he couldn't fake any longer. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm still obviously kind of processing a lot of the things and just going through the necessary motions for me to heal. I think what I'm having a really hard time with right now is I feel like my serious relationships that I've had as an adult, and truly, you guys, I have only had 3 serious relationships. My first lasted for 7.5 years. My second was my marriage. That was 5. And then there was this one. And I feel like my goal has always been the same ever since I was a little girl. I've always wanted my own little family unit. And traditional family unit. So husband, wife, kids, all those things. And I feel like, and maybe it's because of my choices, it keeps getting taken away, but taken away in such a dramatic way. And so it's very disheartening. I know that we all go through this, and I know that it's hard. And so I see you, I feel you, I hear you. I am you. And so I just think that maybe my only family unit that I need and that I'm supposed to have is me and my daughter, and that's okay with me. I've never in my life, I think, had somebody other than, I think, like my family, like parents, things like that, love me so unconditionally. And in her eyes, I do no wrong. And she just is my little bestie. And I am so appreciative of her. And so I think for right now, and who knows, maybe long term, that is who I'm supposed to have. And that's okay. And that doesn't mean that I don't get to be sad about it. It doesn't mean that I don't get to be angry at times with certain things and things that I dealt with. I think one of the biggest things, and what's frustrating when you go through this stuff, and I know there's a lot of you out there who probably feel this way, is yes, I dodged a bullet. Yes, aren't you so glad that this didn't work out? But it doesn't make it hurt any less. And so I feel like, because people don't know what to say, and sometimes you don't have to say anything. You can just say you're sorry. I'm sorry you're upset. I'm sorry you're sad. Because that sucks. And I think by discounting by saying like, oh, well, you're better off. Well, of course we are. Of course I am. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. And it doesn't mean that it was okay. And so I'm just saying to you, for a lot of you guys out there who go through things, it is okay to express that and say, you know what? Yeah, I know. I know I'm better off, but I'm still sad about it. And that's okay. Cry. I know. I hate crying. If you ask anybody who knows me, I fucking hate crying. And I have cried so much in the last 2 years that I'm over it. I'm so over it. And that's why sometimes, even when I go to talk about certain things, I don't know when those feelings are going to come up. I think there's certain things that just really hit me more than others on certain days. And, you know, I just keep looking back at this whole situation and I'm like, I can't even make this shit up. Somebody needs to write a book. Somebody needs to write a movie. I mean, do a freaking show. I don't know. Somebody give me a reality show at this point. I don't know. Now my life actually might be boring. Probably, I don't even think anybody would watch at this point. I think I've hit all the drama that I can possibly get. But seriously, like one of my good friends, we were talking about it yesterday, and she's like, I just keep thinking about this situation and just like, only you, Chasitie, like only you would have to go through something like this. But also the way that you're handling it is so much better than some other people. I mean, God, I've had people tell me, girl, I would have been at that apartment every day, or I would have done this, or I would have done that. And trust me, there's certain thoughts that have gone through my head where I'm like, oh my God, like I don't know what I want to do. I want to just like wreck everything. And so I've not allowed myself to do that. Sometimes I'm like, just come in my dream so then I can just handle all of that in my dream and then maybe it'll make me feel better. But anyway, on that note, I actually want, for those of you that watch these videos and for those that just listen to the podcast, you will have to see this. So, like I said, I am going to leave you with a picture of this ex, and this is public record. So I'm just going to say, you know what? I don't care. We're savage as hell. I'm going to show this so that everybody can know who Big Back Becky is. Now, Becky's not even her real name, but, and it's so funny because one of the girls that he was talking to, she said, I said, have you ever seen her? And, I try not to be like a shitty person and talk shit about people's appearances and looks. But you know what? When you're ugly on the inside too, you just are asking for it at this point. So she was like, no, like I've never seen her, blah, blah, blah. So I sent her a picture and she's like, I know you're fucking lying. And I said, I swear to God. And she said, this is who we're all competing with. Like, that trauma bond, that everything is so like, you're going nowhere. And I said, 1000%. 1000%. So I am going to leave you with this. And, thank you for those of you who are here listening and allow me to be vulnerable. And like I said, if some of this was triggering for you guys, I apologize. But we're all living in this world of chaos and we all have things. You're not alone. I pray to God that none of you have ever experienced what I just experienced. But if you have, I feel for you. And, we have that phone number. If anybody ever needs to talk, DM the pod, Instagram. We're here. So I love you all. I support you all. And I just pray that we all can keep pushing forward and being positive, and don't let anybody get you down. I'm still working on it. I have my days. Today wasn't a great day, but you know what? I get up, I try to stick to a schedule, and I do what I need to do. And I just keep remembering that I am a good person and everybody else will get their karma. And one day, hopefully, it'll be my turn to truly getting what I feel that I deserve and what I want. So, for those of you waiting, here is what I'm about to show you. So, on that note, this is what I can't. So like I said, to be a fly on the wall. To be a fly on the wall when that onesie was opened up. Oh God, it does feel a little good. I just have to say. But all right, guys. On that note, here's the tea. Pinkies up. I love you all. Catch you later. Bye.
Well, that's the tea, besties. Pinkies up!